G'day guys, Calvin, Coaching Company in New Zealand. I'm at my own place and I'm going to put the door lock back into my LS430. There was a little bit of incident with the lock itself and it needs to be reinstalled. As you can see, I have got the door card off. So we're not going to see the removing of the door card, but I'll discuss that a little bit as I'm putting it all back together. I've just got a basic quarter drive socket set. We've got the door lock. We've got the door handle. And don't forget the little gaskets as well. There's a couple of little gaskets on here. We're going to put all that together. Before we really get stuck into that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the reflashing the ECU, because I use this car to reflash ECUs or to test my ECUs. And around the world we do a lot of ECUs. We've also got some associates doing ECUs. So LS430 ECUs can be reflashed. It's not just a small threshold, it's quite a lot of things we can change, to a point where we can even change to fit a supercharger and put a supercharger tune in them. This one's actually got pops and bangs in it. It's not my biggest seller, but it's my biggest advertising tool, because every time I do pops and bangs, all these guys going, oh, it sounds like shit, I don't like that, that's crap, sounds terrible. As soon as they do that, it spreads. The algorithm on places like Facebook spread it around everywhere. So I'm going to post more pops and bangs videos than normal videos, because it sells more ECUs, more reflashes. Go figure. Hey, what are you doing in here? What are the rules? You are not helping. No, not helping. And this one, this tune is a full send pops and bangs. And man, does it pop! It is a goodie. Engine's cold too, so, and mine's got a different exhaust on the back. Well, I'm going to be putting the door card on, putting the lock in. I'm going to pop another ECU, and I've got to test a normal one, a non-pops and bangs. And the customer has chosen to keep a mobilizer on it because it's in a factory car. So what I'm going to do is connect TC to earth, to ground, bridge them with the ECU in place, ignition on, half an hour, and calibrate the ECU into this car so I can give it a test and check everything's good on it. So this is the ECU that I'm taking out, 50620, which is the same number as that one, and I'm putting in a 50590. That'll still work. Customers gladly written a little bit of a spiel. You see it will crank, fire, stop, and then just crank, because it does still have the immobilizer fitted. I have the special piece of wire. I do it so often, there's a piece of wire on my ECU. Right, while that's doing its thing, let's pop this door lock in. You guys, we'll have a look at this. This is a piece that sits inside the door. This is the door handle. And this is the actuator for the lock, for the opening the door. The lock itself fits in here. This is on the inside. Come on me. And this will slide in, and it clips in and it bolts in on that bolt hole there. At the same time, we've got this mechanism here, which is on, this is on the outside. Has to slip in, has to go in here, and this has to be up at the same time, and it just slides in on that clip there. It just sort of pushes into place. So you've got to complete all those tasks in one go. It actually slides in okay. And on the back of the lock, that goes into the striker. Okay, so it's locking the striker mechanism, which is like the door lock part of the door. So this comes out. This comes out. Like that. Okay. So that's, now all we have to do is do that in the door. It's actually starting to get dark here. It's not the ideal time to be doing this job, but I really wanted to get it sorted. So this piece here is the striker. That's the striker right there. So I've loosened the striker right here, and I've pulled it out of the way. And that's enabled me to slip this piece in here. You see here it's got the 4 little dowels that allow it to sit into place. And this fella's just about lining up. That's where this guy comes in. Now I tried actually to leave this in place and leave it sitting out a little bit, but it didn't really work. So I'm going to reach around and hold this in place. These 2 little tabs. Right there. And that allows me just to sit this in place. Like so. There's the nut on that, that'll hold that in place. And then there's these 2 little lock tabs in here. We sit the gaskets in, and they've got little clips. So this one's got a little piece that sits over there, so it sits over the metal. And then these 2 pieces just sort of clip in. It sits in place. Right, now there's a little piece in here that we have to get behind. So this piece that my finger's on, this piece has to go behind. And we can look into that striker. Let's see if I get some light going in there. That's where the striker goes. Okay, and that's, you can hear the door locking. It's got a slot. So we've got to make sure that that goes in correctly. This. I need 2 hands. I'm going to reach in. Now, I have refitted the striker. There's the rod in here. So I'm going to reach in. There's the rod. Where is it? There it is. Just sort of slips into place. Sits on the gasket there. And we check that we've caught the piece inside, which it has. I have fitted the rod. Can we see it in there? There's the rod. There's the little clip that pushes around the rod to hold it in place, and that's sitting in correctly there, and that nut has been done up. This fella here, we check that the piece inside that this is slotting into is sideways. There's the bolt. And then the nut through here, which is a Torx bit. And it happens to be, there's the same bolt as the striker, same size Torx bit, which is a T30. So I'm going to do up this bolt. I'm going to do up these bolts. I'm going to tighten up that nut that's in there properly. Oh, look, it's dark. Yeah, the darkness got me. I've got my headlight. The door lock's in. Car's also ready to test this ECU. So yep, it's been half an hour. Lovely. I'm test driving that tomorrow, but I think it's actually safe now to shut this door. And we're working again. Chrome put on tomorrow, door card, we're good to go. Alright guys, showing all back together in the daylight. Now, things to watch is that when you put this piece in, you make sure you get it behind the little latchy piece inside. I was just playing with it on the bench to see how it all sits in, and if it doesn't sit behind the latch, then it sits in on an angle and it's very hard to get apart, which I did experience. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of chrome, just a little bit of chrome on. Factory they have a little bit of sealant, like an adhesive sealant. It does clip on, so it's got a clip under the back there, and then it pushes in. And if you put too much on like I have, it will go everywhere. Let's try that again. Just got a clip under there, and it clips under there. And we just give all the bolts a little bit of a nip, just to check they're all tight. Now the door handle does actually have a bit of movement. This is normal, because it all just sort of pushes together. Beauty. Right, that's our door latch done. Now I'm going to put the door card back on. Now, a few things that'll happen in the door card department. So it pushes in on these fellas here, these little pushy clips, and when you take it apart you just sort of pull it. And so some of these will pop off. So a good epoxy resin to put them back on is a really good idea. I lost 2 of them. Let me see. So I'm going to epoxy them back on. I've prepared the door card, glued these on, I glued the pedestals on. I've popped the wire out there. That's for the light, interior light. There's the wiring for the window switch. And these are for the controls for the seat. And there's the pieces for the door handle. Plug these up the top. There's a 2-pin plug. There's a little 3-pin plug. And then there's the multi-pin. Oh, it's maybe 8. Maybe an 8, might be more. Right. And I'm feeding up the wiring for the combo switch. And it goes, plugs at the back, so I need to go through the back hole. And sit the door handle in. And they just clip in, they're not too bad to do. And then we in at the top, nice and close to the glass. With it lined up nicely, clips there, there and there. Along the bottom here there's screws. There's a screw in here, and there's a screw in here. If you are wanting to remove the door card, because I'm of course putting it together, then you just in and give it a pull and they pop off. Now we've also got a little screw in here, so I've got a screw there, screw there, and 3 along the bottom. Switch, real easy, plug it in, clip it in at the front. This cover here, this will be the one where the guys get stuck with the screws. There we go. And there's a light up in there too. Look at that, courtesy light. Well, we're all back on. Woohoo! Oh, screws the bottom. These fellas. So we're up under the rubber. 1, 2, 3. My one had hex screws. Or hex heads, I should say, shouldn't I? Right, I'm done. Pays to double check your workmanship and check the locks will work and all the door switches work once you put it all together. Doing what I do for a living, I've learnt to double check and triple check everything once we put it together. This is my own car, but I still don't want to get somewhere and find that the stuff I've put together doesn't work, so I'll double check all that. Hope that's been helpful for everyone if they need to change their door locks. It's actually a really simple job. If you've got a clear head, if you're in a bit of a mood, they can just be a little bit awkward to get in there with. So stay calm, ticks along really well. And remember, there's a screw in that vent. Hope that's been helpful. Talk to you again soon. Catch you later.